my channel for a monthly goals video. We don't have a monthly reset video for the month of October because I've taken all of the components of the monthly reset and divided them up for Vlogtober videos. So today we are talking exclusively about my monthly goals. As you guys know by now, I use the Cultivate What Matters power sheets to do my goal planning because I love the tending list. And stay tuned, for sometime in this month you're also going to get a walkthrough of the new 2023 power sheets as well as the Moxie Life planners, so stay tuned for those videos. If that's something that's exciting to you, make sure you hit that little red button and join the Diva and the Divine community, and don't forget to hit the bell so you get notified when those videos go live. If you watched yesterday's video, I went into a deep dive for my goals for the fourth quarter, can you believe it, the fourth quarter of 2022, as well as some daily actions and things that I want to focus on for the last 90 days challenge. So if you haven't watched that video, you're going to want to go ahead and check that one out first, because the stuff in here will make a little bit more sense once you know what my overall outlook for the quarter is. That being said, let's go ahead and jump right into my October goals. As per usual, things are divided up into monthly, weekly, and daily action items. Monthly action items are things that only need to be achieved once. Weekly action items are things that you want to do every single week. And of course, daily action items are daily habits. Daily habit tracking is what it is. So with that being said, let's dive into my October goals. Starting with my monthly action items, and of course the first one that I had written down for like a month and a half now, I'm now putting question marks next to, because it is go to the apple orchard. And my husband and I have been making a habit of doing this every year that we've lived in Minnesota, and it's a great fun fall activity. With a little bit of a plot twist this year being my husband has kind of stepped away from eating apples, so we don't actually need a whole lot of apples right now. So we're trying to figure out exactly what the apple orchard experience is going to be for us this year. We still want to do some sort of fall activity, so maybe I should have changed the wording. Originally the wording says go to the apple orchard, but let's change it to do some outwardly fall related activity. Carve pumpkins, go to the orchard and buy mums and gourds and pumpkins and yes, a bag of apples and maybe bake an apple pie. But instead of just focusing on the act of apple orcharding and picking, maybe change it to a fall activity of some kind. My next monthly action item is to create my ideal schedule. This is something that I started to do when I actually did a walkthrough of the Cultivate What Matters 2023 Daily Planner, which is a new product by them. And it had an ideal schedule for every season, every quarter. And then flash forward to me joining Club Moxie. If you can't tell, I use both goal setting systems. Club Moxie is something that I joined just in the last couple of weeks, and as I joined them, I have been listening to their past lessons, their Zoom calls that they turned into podcasts. And Sierra, the founder of Moxie Life, also talks about the ideal schedule, and so it kind of rekindled my desire to actually do the work again and think seriously about it and lay it out and see if I can stick to it. So my monthly action item for that is to create my ideal schedule for a week. Next up is to finish my Oz virtual races. YesFit, the virtual racing group that I am a part of that sends you all of the fun medals, has a Wizard of Oz themed race. It's a 3-part race, 4-part race. I can't remember. I have one race left. I have one race left that is 35 miles that I have purchased, but I have not started the race yet. I'm currently finishing up a little miniature Wizard of Oz race, and it is like the Wicked Witch half a marathon. They don't market it as half a marathon, but that's what the distance ends up being, half a marathon, 13.1 miles, right? Is the Wicked Witches race. So I'm actively doing that right now. My goal is to have that one finished before the month of October starts. So by the time you're seeing this video, that should be completed. And in October, I want to finish the 35-mile part 4 last of the Wizard of Oz races race. The way I do that, by the way, I don't go running. I do it if I'm intentionally walking outside, I will track my distance, or in the tracked distance on my elliptical machine. Those are the two ways that I track my distances for virtual races. Next up is create a home purge list. If you saw yesterday's video, you know that one of my big picture goals, or my big picture goal for creating a life-giving home, is to do a complete home overhaul, purge, all the things. So the first step in doing that is to make a list and kind of break it down, I think, room by room actually. I'm gonna make several lists of projects, big and small, that need to get done so I can go through and complete those projects and get the satisfaction of checking them off a list. So the first step is to create the master home clean and purge list. Then we have read 3 books. Of course, my reading goal for the 4th quarter is really lofty, and it is to read 10 books in total. That actually divides up over the next 3 months of 3 1/3 books, but I'm gonna write down 3 and hopefully I will get that done and a little bit more. We shall see. It's still a lofty goal, but I'm kind of like, oh my gosh, did I really just decide to do that? But we're gonna go with it. We're gonna see what happens. So the goal is to read 3 books. I have a goal of making a dentist appointment because I have not done that in a very long time and I need to suck it up and I need to do it. So that is one of my monthly action items for this month simply because it needs to get done. And so that's why it's on here. Once I make the appointment and have a dentist and do the routine thing, never again will I need to write down make dentist appointment on my thing because it's no longer a goal, it's just a to-do item. But for now, because I've been putting it off for literally 3 years, it is a goal. And then my last monthly action item is to actually cut my grocery budget by $100. This has to do with my 3 months of thrifty goal. I want to be super, super frugal the last quarter, within reason, of course, and I will get into that actually in a different video altogether. But I think one of the ways that I can measure whether or not I'm doing that is if I can pull back on my grocery budget enough to see a significant monetary difference. And so for me, I'm gonna start with seeing if I can cut back from my grocery budget, which admittedly is pretty generous for the 2 of us, but I'm gonna see if I can cut back $100. Shh, my husband doesn't know that I'm doing that. So we'll see how the end of the month goes. Next up, we have weekly action items. The weekly action items, like I mentioned, are things that I want to do every single week, starting with blow dry my hair. Yes, if you haven't noticed, I got a haircut. It's short, it's sweet, I love it, but one of my big goals for the quarterly goals refresh for Q4 is to actually put more effort into my appearance, which involves doing my hair. Luckily, I actually wrote this goal down before I got my haircut, and it turns out that this hairstyle might actually require me to blow dry my hair more often than not. I haven't actually tried it yet to see how it dries when I just let it air dry like I did with my long hair and I got those kind of unruly but really, really cute waves. I haven't tried it with this yet, but the one night that I let things air dry willy-nilly because it was just a shower before bed, I wasn't loving the way it was air drying. So I was like, oh no, do I have a haircut where I'm actually gonna have to intentionally style it every day? And at first I was kind of like, ugh, what a pain. But then I realized that actually that could really help me focus on that goal of paying more attention to my appearance and putting in a little bit more effort, because I will have to, if I want to be in front of the camera and looking halfway decent or on Instagram or out and about, I'll have to do my hair, because it also doesn't look great pulled back right now because like the little stuff will fall out, so it doesn't pull back well. It pulls back fine for messy bun, for sleeping, and for the gym, but not to be out in public. So I'm gonna have to start doing my hair a little bit more. So that actually worked out really well because I had this written down before I even knew that that would be a problem. Next weekly action item is to actually complete my Moxie Life weekly goals list. The Moxie Life companion notebooks, which is what I currently use from them, has different to-do lists every single week for you. So you have the opportunity to pick items that you want to do, and you write a list. It's a blank list. But you can pick different things to accomplish within a week. Whereas in the power sheets, the weekly action items are all intended to be the same things that you repeat every single week. So one of my goals is to actually complete the list that I create in my Moxie Life companion notebooks, because that actually turns into a to-do list that is focused on each area of my goals. So I'll pick personal goals, finance goals, work goals, health goals within that, but they won't be the same week to week necessarily. So my goal is to complete that to-do list. Next up is to knock out not 1, not 2, but 3 items from the master home cleaning and purge list every single week. And then I wrote down stick to my ideal schedule. So a lot of my monthly action items are creating the framework for me to achieve my weekly action items. Does that make sense? So I have to implement, try to achieve the ideal schedule that I set for myself. With one caveat being, it doesn't have to be perfect. And that's something that I originally assumed, like, I assumed wrong, but like perfectionism got the best of me. But when I was listening to the podcast by Sierra that talked about it, she actually explained like, it doesn't need to, you don't have to execute. You don't have to execute it ideally. This is just literally why it's your ideal schedule. When are things ever going to fall ideally into place every single minute of every day? They're not. So we don't want perfectionism to creep in here and be like, if I don't do the ideal schedule, I'm wrong, I'm a failure. That's not what it's about. But it's about trying, and it's about acknowledging that like, oh, here's the ideal time to do these things. If life happens to work out that way, great. But if it doesn't, it's okay, because we're about progress and we're about action, not perfection. So I need to just make sure that I keep that in mind and on my heart as I create this ideal schedule, that like, hey, this is not you locking yourself into this specific schedule. This is just you putting out on paper what your proposed ideal schedule is. And there is a key difference. Next up is to take progress photos. I'm buckling down for Q4 and I'm gonna get things done. And I've been really bad about taking my bi-weekly progress photos. So I'm going to, just for this month, just for funsies, because I'm, putting the pedal to the metal and going, I am going to take weekly progress photos. And then I put 100,000 steps back on the docket for this month because, like I said, I'm kind of putting the pedal to the metal and doing a little bit extra. My energy feels pretty good right now. I'm feeling really optimistic about just a lot of things, which I can get into in vlogs and stuff and junk. So you don't need to hear about it here, but one of the things that I want to do is increase my exercise and NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis, activity just a little bit. So putting 100,000 steps on the docket means that the average of my steps needs to be above 10,000 steps a day. And then we have some daily action items. These are completely filled up. I used every single space, and these are things that I am focusing on every single day. One thing worth noting with daily action items, for me, it is not about the streak. It's not about perfection. It's not about I'm a failure if I miss a check mark. Ultimately, for me, the goal is to see how many daily check marks can I earn in a month. With that being said, first daily action item is a no spend. Because I'm on my 3 months of thrifty, of course, I don't need to be spending unnecessarily. So any day that I can get away with not spending any extra, it doesn't count if I'm going to the grocery store to get groceries and things like that. But as long as I stick to the list, don't do any frivolous spending at the grocery store, things like that. As long as I stay on track with what is planned and don't buy anything extra, I get my check mark for my no spend. Tracking. I just need to get back to tracking. It's a little bit harder once you have been on a diet break for a week and a half to be like, oh, and now I gotta track everything again. So I just wanna get back in the habit of tracking my food every day. Vlog. It is Vlogtober, which means that I need to vlog. And now admittedly, I do have a handful of videos that are going to be like this, sit down videos for Vlogtober, but that doesn't mean that the month is going to be short on vlogs. I've got room for at least 12 vlogs being distributed throughout the month. So my goal, hopefully, is to pick up the camera at some point every single day. And then it'll be, vlog number 1 will be like October 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, that sort of thing. So I'm hoping to pick up the camera and create some sort of vlogging footage for you every single day. And then on the same Vlogtober note, my next one is to have a video published. So I get the check mark for this if a video goes live on my channel every day. Next up is Bible study. I need to dive back in. I need to dive back in. I've been really bad about it. I've been very lenient with a morning routine lately, which is fine, but I should be prioritizing certain things over others, and this is just not something I'm prioritizing. So with last 90 days and my desire to get up a little bit earlier, I want to implement the Bible study habit again. Of course, I need to have reading as a daily habit, because how am I going to read 3 books this month and 10 books this quarter if I don't have a goal to read every single day? And then I also have a 15-minute power appointment as a goal. This is another Moxie Life thing, and the concept is kind of like the power hour, but a little bit different. So the 15-minute power appointment is basically you set 15 minutes on your calendar and you're going to work towards a goal. You don't necessarily have to plan which one. You don't necessarily have to plan which task you're going to do, but it is just 15 minutes on your calendar every single day dedicated to the execution of one of your goals. So I'm putting that because 15 minutes every single day over a 31-day month is a lot of time dedicated to a goal, right? So I'm really looking forward to just kind of like popping in those 15 minutes and seeing how many power appointments I can work in and how they work, and do I stick to them at the same time every day? Do I move them around? It will be really interesting to see how I decide to implement the power appointment. And there you go. Those are my goals for the month of October. Let me know in the comments below what some of your goals are for this month or for this quarter if you haven't gotten the opportunity to share. I am so excited to see what the last 90 days, the last quarter, whatever it is you want to call it, brings for all of us. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, as it really does help me out. And don't forget to hit that little red subscribe button so you get me in your feed every single day for the month of October, because it is Vlogtober after all. Thank you guys for taking the time to watch. Take care, happy October, and I will see you